2007, Barry Bonds hits his 756th home run and passes Hank Aaron for first on the all-time home run list in Major League Baseball history. A monumental occasion in the history of baseball, but sadly, this accomplishment means nearly nothing now, as Barry Bonds was accused of taking steroids, and because of that, will probably never enter the Hall of Fame. Have you ever tried whatever you could to attain a goal but been discouraged because you knew that no matter what you did, you'd never be able to attain it? That's exactly how players who have taken steroids feel and are experiencing when they deserve to be inducted into the Hall of Fame for being great players, but they're snubbed just because of their steroids. Today I'm going to talk to you about why players who take steroids should be allowed into the Hall of Fame, what it will take to potentially get to that point, and what the future of baseball will look like from here if we allow these players into the Hall of Fame. But first, let's discuss why the notion of keeping players out of the Hall of Fame is biased and unfair. In today's society, we like to pick and choose what we like and who we like for different reasons, and great players who have taken steroids and are banned from the Hall of Fame are an exact extension of that. According to ESPN, steroids have been on the banned substance list since 1991, but weren't tested for until 2003. I, for one, am a proponent of those who came from the time of steroids up until 2003. For all the players who knew about testing after 2003, I don't have any partiality to. But as humans, regardless of what your beliefs are, we can all agree that all of us fail, and I do share in the fact that I agree that baseball players who have taken steroids are in the wrong. But that doesn't mean great players should be denied the Hall of Fame just because of steroid use. For example, Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig are some of the most famous baseball players that ever played. However, they played in a time where only whites were allowed to play baseball. And if these men are allowed in under that stipulation, then it's fair to say that those who take steroids should be allowed into the Hall of Fame as well. There have been several other techniques in baseball that have been used to get ahead, like steroids, such as spitball pitchers, corked bats, wet infields, anything they can to try and get a leg ahead. So why should we pick out steroid users above all those if men like that are in the Hall of Fame? And several players such as Hank Aaron, Willie Stargell, and Willie Mays are all in the Hall of Fame that took illegal amphetamines called greenies, and those were illegal drugs in the United States when they still took them and admitted to taking them, and they are all members of the Hall of Fame. So why should these players be punished for a substance that's not illegal in the United States and wasn't even tested for until 2004? Now that we've discussed the crux of the problem, let's take a look at what it's going to take to fix this issue. We know baseball has several steroid users that were some of the greatest to ever play the game. So what measures is it going to take to get those players into the Hall of Fame? Well, first off, to be elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, a player has to be recognized by the Baseball Writers Association of America to have played for 10 seasons and to have been retired for at least 5. The writers may vote for as many as 10 candidates upon their ballot, and they can also vote for 0 if they choose. To become a Baseball Writers Association of America member, one must have been an active baseball writer and member of the association for at least 10 years. And the men who vote on the Hall of Fame, the Baseball Writers Association of America, are mostly conservative men who hold a standard belief that steroid users should not be allowed into the Hall of Fame. With this being a large issue, the best and easiest way for us to try and get a different angle on this, to try and possibly change this process to make it more fair, is going to have to go through the fans. As fans, it's up to us because we're the ones who support baseball's economy, and if we are truly for equality, we must stand up to the traditionalist view and be fair to all players, not just some of them. Outside of fan support, honestly, there's really no way that this is going to be able to have an immediate change. Jason Stark from ESPN is quoted about the voting process as saying, "I used to pride myself on consistency as a voter. I didn't change my mind from year to year, play favorites, or try to orchestrate who got in. All I aspired to do is to look at the names on the ballot and decide, was this player a Hall of Fame player or not? And if I decided he was, I was going to vote for him every year because he either was or wasn't. Any other philosophy on how to vote felt like game playing or agenda building, and that wasn't for me." Since we've looked at what it could possibly take to change this issue and solution for it, let's finally take a look at what the future of baseball is going to look like. The future of baseball is going to be even brighter if we allow these steroid users to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. Several argue that allowing players into the Hall of Fame because of steroids could be a slippery slope to encouraging players to use steroids, and that's just simply not true. Since 2003, when baseball started testing for steroid use, there have been several different reports with over 100 names, including the famous report from 2003 and the Mitchell report from 2007. And that means that fewer players are getting away with it today, and baseball is on its way to being able to be cleaned up and be more of a fair sport, I guess, if you want to say that. The Hall of Fame in Cooperstown has seen declining attendance with only 260,000 visitors last year, which is the lowest total since the 1980s. And what better way to encourage attendance of the greatest shrine for America's pastime than putting deserving and exciting players into the Hall of Fame that people want to see? Ultimately, the future of baseball is bright because steroids are finally being weeded out, so there's less controversy about it. However, it can be argued that steroids and the excitement that they brought to the table is what built baseball into the monster that it is today. In conclusion, I've spoken about the problem with keeping players out of the Hall of Fame, what that creates, a possible solution to the problem, and what the future of baseball looks like from here on out. I'm a firm believer that those convicted of steroids prior to testing should be inducted because it's simply unfair and contradicting for them not to be. The Hall of Fame should be more open to looking back at the voters and how players are inducted. In the end, I hope you'll join me in my stand as fans of baseball against this ridiculous idea that these players should be kept out of the Hall of Fame. And as Daniel Tosh is quoted as saying, "Nobody wants to watch a pitching battle. Let's hit the ball deep." Thank you.